The idea wasn't mine to start with. I started out as a model, and I worked from Sweden to Paris, and then eventually ended up in New York. And in New York, I had a big career, and I was actually asked to, I got a telephone call one day from a director who was making a movie called The Christian Licorice Store. Very forgettable movie. Anyway, Beau Bridges was the star, and they had come to me because the producer was married to Leslie Caron at the time. And she had watched me as a model, and she'd seen me on television, and she thought that I would be the right person for this movie. So I get a phone call out of the blue. The director, James Frawley, called to see would I come out and test for this movie. So this is crazy, but okay, I'll do it. I went out, I tested with Beau Bridges, and I got my first movie part in a leading role. I had made a short little film as a model in another movie, which some people think is my first, but it really just is a walk-on. I loved it. I was out in California. I lived in a wonderful house. It was fun working with all those people. They were all really supportive and nice. But it was just after the movie, God, what's it called? With the motorcycles, Easy Rider had come out. And after Easy Rider, the studios were sort of baffled. All of a sudden, these people made a movie that nobody thought would make any money. It was making a fortune. So they started throwing money at young actors and young directors and doing sort of oddball type of movies. And this was certainly one of them. They didn't all make it, that's for sure. And this one didn't either. But anyway, after that, I went back to New York. I continued my modeling career, and I started taking acting lessons. And I ended up doing 2 movies in Canada. And then one day I got an interview, and I met with Cubby Broccoli, and I was hired to do The Man with the Golden Gun. By then I had an agent. I was still working as a model, but I was doing a few movies here and there. And I had an agent, William Morris, a good agent, and he set up the meeting with Cubby Broccoli and the casting agents and all the people. I went there and had a talk, and I didn't even know who Cubby Broccoli was, honestly. So I hadn't seen a Bond movie before. And at the end of the meeting, he said, Cubby Broccoli turned to me and said, you know, I would like for you to meet my wife. And I said, well, that seemed odd. And here I'm with all these people in the room, the casting agent, and he wants me to meet his wife. Can you come to my hotel tomorrow? And I'm going, I'm not so sure about this. What's this all about? But my agent assured me that's fine. So I went over there, and sure enough, I met with Dana at the time. We had a little chat. And after that, I was hired for the movie. And it's odd, because I found out later on that she had a lot to say in who he hired. As a matter of fact, Sean Connery was hired because she recommended him. I loved it, and I mean, of course, working with those people has been a real privilege, because number one, they really do take good care of you. They make sure that you have a good experience, not just while you're working, but surrounding the whole movie. You travel to wonderful locations, and I mean, I got to make friends with Roger and Britt Eklund, a Swedish good friend of mine at this time. I mean, first time I met Britt, we were on the way to Bangkok, and I'm flying from New York, and we're landing in London just for them to come on the plane. She walks on the plane, and she said, I hated you when I first heard your name. And I'm going, oh my God, I wanted to be friends with her. And here she comes and tells me she hates me. And then she told me the story how she had tested long before I did, and she had been read in the Variety or Hollywood Report, I'm not sure which, and said that Swedish actress Maud Adams has been cast in the new Bond movie. So I knew before she did. And she assumed there would never be 2 Swedish girls in the movie. But after that, she sat down and laughed, and we became fast friends, and are still so. Wonderful, wonderful actors. Christopher Lee was much more serious than Roger, who liked to have fun all the time. And as a matter of fact, Britt and I used to joke about Christopher at times because he was so serious in his acting. And we used to make funny jokes. And we would speak Swedish because we thought nobody would understand us. And then, of course, we found out that not only did he know what we were saying because his wife is Danish, but he's also a very smart man. But he didn't, he didn't hold any grudges, I thought, but it was funny. And we became good friends also afterwards, and I adore the man. I'm so sorry he's gone. Well, no, not really. I mean, as an actor, you just play your part. Yeah. No, it's off camera more than anything that we joked with him, about him at times. But he had an incredible, he was such a smart man. I mean, both of them are extremely intelligent, Roger Moore as well. It's so hard to talk to them in the past, I've got to tell you. But I saw Christopher Lee many, many years often thereafter, and he always remembered where I came from. And he even knew, I mean, the smallest details about me, that I was just astonished that he still could remember so much. Well, I mean, I started working, of course, I did a bunch of other movies and I did some television work. And one day I get a call, from my agent, and they say that, would I come to London to test with a possibly new James Bond. James Brolin was being thought for the part because Roger Moore's contract was up. And since I had a really good relationship with the Broccoli family, we'd been friends for years after that, I thought, okay, they just want me to do them a favor. So I said, of course. Flew to London and did the testing, and I still didn't think it had anything to do with me other than being there as doing them a favor. Except when they started to change my hair color and doing different things, I said, that's going a little bit far,
Look surprised to see me. I thought you were expecting me.
So you are Titania Romanova.
My friends call me Tanya.
Mine call me James Bond.
But I think my mouth is too big.
It's just the right size. For me, that is.
And then I was so surprised that I got the part. I really was. I did not expect it. And the best part of all was that Roger came back. He signed up again, and I was able to work with him again. I never found out. I mean, I couldn't figure it out. And I sort of tried to hypothesize myself. I thought, it must be because, number one, I've had a good working relationship with all of them. And I think they'd had a little bit of problem with some of the Bond girls. And so they knew that I was going to be easy to get along with, to start with. I thought that was it. And then I also realized that Roger was now getting a little older in the role as Bond. And there was a lot more critique towards the Bond women, that they were too much of victims, that they were not the modern woman that women like to be, how they would like to be portrayed. So I think they wanted, number one, to make a movie with a strong woman like Octopussy, and they also wanted to have a woman who was mature and who could play opposite Roger without being, thought of as being inappropriate. I think those were some of the reasons. I mean, there are probably a number of reasons, and some I don't know. Well, I mean, it was much more fun to play Octopussy, of course, much more fun. I mean, you can't talk about complex character really when you're talking about James Bond movies, because they're basically driven by action, of course. And there's a lot of decoration that comes along with being a Bond girl. So I don't think of them as being character roles at all, but I think that at least for that time and that genre, Octopussy was a really wonderful step forward. Wonderful. John Glenn was an excellent director. And he did do me a favor or not, I'm not sure. He also he didn't cast me, but he put me in the background of A View to a Kill. And it was really just a fluke. I was there saying hello, visiting everybody in San Francisco, and they were shooting a scene at the wharf, and they said, "Mom, why didn't you stay in the back of Roger?" And so I just walked on, basically. And when I saw the movie, I never saw myself ever And then he wrote a book many, many years later, and he says that, you know, I'm in that movie. So of course, I mean, I've got a barrage of questions from people. I mean, where are you? We can't see which is you. And then people started sending me little clips and little whatever questions all the time. And finally, I was getting irritated, actually. I said, because I'm not in the movie. And why did he do this to me? And then one day somebody sent me one frame. And somebody had actually gone through frame by frame, and they found me in the background. So yes, I'm a Bond girl 3 times. Well, the directing styles, I really don't have that much to say about it, because I think they're both excellent directors. And I think when you're making this kind of a movie, their focus is really on driven by the action. So they're both charming and wonderful men, and I have good relationships with them, but I don't think of them as being an actor's dramatic type of directors for drama at all. But on the other hand, I probably wasn't myself, so, you know. Oh, you're kidding me, yes. You know, I've had a long career, I've done a lot of work, and there is no question about it that being in a Bond girl has been one of the most delightful experiences I've ever had. Not only because of all the friendship I made, but there's been such a benefit coming from it, because, you know, as an actor, you can work all your life and nobody remembers you. To have 1 or 2, in my case 2 or maybe 3 movies that people remember you from at my age, I mean, it's a nice feeling. And not only that, it has, because the series has continued for so long, and there's been generations of Bond fans growing up, and there are these Bond clubs and the extension of the Bond family that is amazing. And I feel so privileged to be part of it, and to be able to, I mean, my life is not so much part of Bond anymore, but to now and then put my foot in that realm is really just delightful.